Nintendo is facing a new round of backlash this week, but this time it has to do with their new virtual game cards, which initially, I'll admit, these sounded really cool, right? With the death of physical media being closer now than it has ever been. These new virtual cards were built as an idea of like, hey, this is how you're going to loan out your digital games to your friends for a set amount of times. Turns out, this new system closes one of the biggest loopholes of the OG Switch generation when it comes to like players sharing their games. Yeah, in case you missed it, the virtual game card update launched this week for Nintendo consoles, and it was quickly discovered that moving forward, players can no longer play a game that they bought across two devices. Which in the world of Nintendo, that's called stealing, but in the world of gamers, that's called bullshit. You see, what gamers were doing in the past was they were buying the game once, installing it on Switch 1, and then signing into their second Switch and installing it there, and then playing co-op with their kids or their wife without having to buy a second copy of the game. Which, based off that, you can understand why Nintendo wanted to switch this. They're buying one copy for two people. No, two people, two copies. How is that hard to understand? Well, now, thanks to the new virtual game card update, that is all gone. Unless you're like in offline mode, but essentially that kind of like kills the purpose of co-op, so that doesn't really matter. And ultimately, it just feels like Nintendo is just being Nintendo. Like, again, why is anybody surprised that the greatest video game company on the face of the planet is doing what they do best? Taking every hard-earned dollar out of our wallets. They want to sell as many copies as possible, and this loophole certainly prevented them from doing that in the past. So yeah, they're going to solve this, and they're going to stop gamers from doing this, but what makes this frustrating is that this is solely a Nintendo issue, because PlayStation and Xbox, they have ways to share games with other players while being online, so it's really hard to not look at this any other way than Nintendo just being like, we're gonna make as much money as possible. Now, defending a billion-dollar organization, Nintendo does have a new feature that is coming out on the Switch 2 called Game Share, which essentially does the exact same thing, right? This solves the problem that the Nintendo fans are upset about, where you can share a game that you purchased and play it with your friends and they don't have to buy a copy. The problem with that theory is that, one, it requires you to buy a Switch 2. So if you want the feature that was available on the Switch 1 for free, now you got to pony up and spend $500 to $600 in order to get that same feature that you had before for free. The second issue is it's not included with every single game, right? That new game share feature is like, it's on some games, but it's not available on all games. So there's a lot of gamers being like, dude, this new feature that you brought is a downgrade to everything that we're trying to accomplish. And it's funny because I sit here and I look at this and I'm frustrated. I see a ton of other gamers that are frustrated, and there's people who have concerns. All these people have frustrations. All these people are upset about this, but the Switch 2 is still sold like hotcakes. It's sold out across the entire globe. People are buying this thing like crazy. There's no one in the Nintendo boardroom this week that's like, maybe we should change it. No, that conversation is not happening. And it makes me feel like maybe I'm the crazy one. Maybe Nintendo just knows exactly what they're doing and they know how the orchestra should be played, and I should just shut up and play video games. But anyway, sound off in the comment section your thoughts on this one. Obviously, I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on the virtual game cards, the game share system, and if you think it's an issue, if it's not an issue, definitely let me know below.